Yes, welcome back to Football Heritage TV Plus. We are joined today by Dan Potts from Football's 12th Man podcast. And I thought to myself, Dan, if I'm going to do a title that says Arsenal fail when it matters, as a Spurs fan, how do I diffuse the situation? I know I'll get on one of the best Arsenal fans and best Arsenal YouTubers I know. So how are you, buddy? You good?
I'm well, mate. Thank you for having me, and big up to the new channel, man. I'm sure it will fly. And as Football Heritage continues to, mate, it's always good to talk to you, mate. But I wish we were both in better circumstances because our teams are not doing any favors to us at the moment, Savva. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, just the, what is it, 12 places between us in the league table. But yeah, and for different reasons. But look, we're not here to talk about my team today. We're here to talk about your team. And listen, I have titled the video saying the Arsenal fail when it matters. And first of all, I wanted to ask you, is that accurate or is that quite harsh? What do you think about the whole fail word? Do Arsenal fail when it matters?
I actually don't even think it's harsh, if I'm honest, because I think people interpret the word as a really harsh word, but actually it's not, is it? There's either failure or success, right?
Yeah.
And when people hear the word fail, there's a lot of people that have a phobia and a fear of the word, and that is actually a real thing. If you actually research it, people actually do have phobias about failure in life. So I think people listen to that and think, oh my God, that's so harsh. You can't say that. Look at what Arteta's done. He's been magnificent from where he's picked us up from. That's a completely different story. That's not failing or succeeding. That's doing well and picking a team up from 8th place and putting them into a title race. That's not success because you're not doing that. When you succeed,
is that progress versus success? And there's a huge difference, right?
Massive amount of difference, you know, right. and you know, I did the fan cam at the weekend at West Ham, and I had that guy come up to me and say that success is not about trophies. I mean, come on, man, what are we doing here? You know, you can have a progressive season. So, for example, Nottingham Forest have massively progressed from a relegation battle to a top 4 battle, but they're not going to be successful unless they win an FA Cup or they win the Premier League, right? So that's the way I interpret it. Some people, I don't actually know how to interpret it. I think that's facts, if I'm honest. To succeed, you have to win, in my opinion. To progress, you can absolutely jump from 15th to 6th and go, wow, we've had a really good progressive season there. But essentially, have you been successful? Will you be remembered in history for taking Nottingham Forest to 6th in the table? You won't be, will you? So that's where you're at. So that's why I believe that we have failed when it matters. And you can give a number of examples this season, last season, and maybe even harshly, even more so the season before. And if I did that in order of from when we went 3 years ago to when we were in a title race, which, let's be real, Savva, I remember you saying to me, I don't think Arsenal bottled it. I just don't think they're good enough. I never thought they'd be up there, right? Yeah. So you can look at that.
I got a lot of stick for that, by the way, Dan. I got so much stick for saying that, but you know, I was kind of.
You did.
Yeah.
Well, you were right because no one had us in a title race. We were a top 4 side that found ourselves in a title race, right? And essentially, you can say that when it mattered at Anfield and we were 2-0 up, we threw the game away. When we went 2-0 up against West Ham, we threw the game away. When we found ourselves 3-1 down against Southampton at home, we threw the game away. So we drew all 3 of those games. And you know as well as I do, because you have actually been in one in your lifetime that people will laugh at you about. When you're in a title race, draws are like losses, mate. You cannot draw. Draws are fine if you're going for a top 4 race. Absolutely fine. Yeah, you didn't lose a game. Momentum, keep going. But for a title, it's like a loss. So we failed when it matters. Then we get into the second season. It's a Champions League, first of all. We get back into it. We get Bayern Munich and we crumble when it matters. Aston Villa, crumble when it matters. FA Cups, League Cups, crumble when it matters. And this season, we've had opportunities where we haven't really been able to be top for quite some time. So I'd actually say we haven't bottled the league this season. We haven't actually been top for any of it, really. So where I think we have failed, though, is when the pressure mattered and we had Manchester United. Yep, you heard it right. At home in the FA Cup, we crumbled. We had Newcastle at home. We crumbled. We went away at St James's Park. We crumbled even further. And then obviously we've seen what we've done in the league of late when the pressure was on. And it was against West Ham. You know, a lot of people will say Arsenal can't win the title, but they had Manchester City that weekend and we had to win to go within 5 points of them. They then lose that game and all of a sudden it's title race back on. And we've put ourselves into a scenario now where we found ourselves very quickly 13 points off, out of both domestic cups and only a Champions League to hang on to with no strike force. So yes, I think the whole club have failed And when it does matter, Mikel Arteta has not been able to get us across the line. So I don't think it's harsh at all.
Yeah, I mean, look, the way I looked at it is I thought that Liverpool would win their games, right? So I didn't feel like that's a big surprise, but I did think that you should be 5 points closer to them than what you are now, which, listen, is that too big a gap to overcome? I think maybe it is, but it's about keeping the pressure on. And the reason why I said I think you foul when it matters is if we actually look at your results in this is just in February.
Yep.
And you have that fantastic win against Man City.
Yep.
And I remember watching the interview. I believe it was Declan Rice and Odegaard afterwards, maybe someone else. And they said, "Look, this is the result that gives us the courage. It gives us the confidence. This is what gives us the belief to kick on." And then you look at it and you think, "Okay, cool, you won that. Then you got the win. Forget the Newcastle game for the moment. You got the Leicester City win by hook or crook. And then the two games that you've got to go and win to stay in a title race, 1-0 at home to West Ham, and then not scoring for a second game in a row at Forest. Dan, what's gone wrong? And are those the two games you look at? Or is there too much recency bias in your results from what I'm talking about?
No, it's not recency bias. I think everybody knows what's gone wrong at Arsenal, and it's top to bottom. It's been a couple of transfer windows from hell, and people will laugh at me when I say that. And particularly, do you know what? Tottenham, when they had Poch, right, and you were at the best I've seen Tottenham for a long, long time in terms of Champions League finals, going for a title.
Yep.
Everybody was screaming at your board and ownership because they give Pochettino absolutely nothing, right?
Yep.
We're in a similar scenario at the moment, because we found ourselves back in the Champions League, which is where Daniel Levy and co are very happy as well, just like the Cronkies are, yeah, because it gives all the money. We were not stupid, right? This is a business now. It's not a club anymore, a football club anymore. It's a business, right? So they're quite happy to get chopped for. Savva, since we've got Champions League football, our transfer windows have been nothing short of a disgrace, bruv. Yeah? Because in the last couple of windows where we're supposed to be going for a title, the only player that we've bought in that anybody has mentioned is Declan Rice. All of the others, people have gone, hey? So I'm talking about Sterling. I'm talking about Havertz, to be fair. I'm talking about Marino, Calafiori, Neto. These are players we bought in when we're in the Champions League. So you're telling me that to get back into the Champions League, we bought Thomas Partey, Gabriel, Saliba, Tierney, Aubameyang, Lacazette, Ben White, Odegaard, that are all still now above. Obviously, a couple have left, but most of them are now in the first team. And you're now telling me that now we've got back into the Champions League. Those are the signings we're bringing in. So now you go towards the scenario of, right, really unfortunate. I thought it was a bit of a poor season the way we ended it, but we finished one win away from winning the title. Let's go now. Let's go now.
Yeah,
we need to go now. Let's kick on. And you have that summer transfer window, £75 million spent. Why not go and get Gyökeres with that money? Why do you have to go, or an Osimhen? And don't worry about this left back with nice hair and this Marino guy who scored in a Euros final. Let's go and get a striker. They don't do it. December, Saka goes down. Shit, best player. Where's a positive? I'll find one. The bloody transfer window opens in 2 weeks. Brilliant. Thank God for that. This could have happened in August, or this could have happened in March. Would have been stuffed. Thank God for that. We're going to sign someone. What happens then? Jesus goes down. Oh my God. Well, we're definitely going to sign someone now. That's definite. Absolutely. Will we not do anything now? No, we do nothing at all. We go to Dubai, we play Newcastle, and both of our other strikers go out, Martinelli and Havertz. Who knew? Who knew? What a risk. What a criminal, sackable offence from everybody involved. And now we find ourselves with no strike force trying to win a title in a Champions League. That's where it's gone wrong, bro.
Yeah, I mean, look, I listen. I say this as a Spurs fan. I feel like there's similarities to when we were under Poch, and it was like, yeah, look, you've got the team, you've got the good team. Now kick on, and we never did. And unfortunately, what started to happen to us is what could happen to you. I don't know. It was that really good 11 Spurs ad that never got over the line. Walker went. And you were like, oh, okay, Walker went. All right, well, we haven't really replaced him. Then Dembele went. Then Rose went, and Alderweireld and Vertonghen started to get a bit older, and now Dele Alli's fallen off a cliff, and now and that's the difference. It could be
before you know it, you got Kane and Son, and everyone's gone, and your legends for Kane and Son.
Right, And before you know it, you're having the 4 or 5 years Spurs have had where we're going, hang on, how do we get back to the Pochettino era? And that was an era that didn't win anything. And unfortunately, I know you've won the FA Cup, but it's very similar. I suppose it's very similar in those standings. But what I did want to have a look at is if we actually look at where Arsenal have finished, hopefully that comes up nice and big. This is your last. This is all your seasons under Mikel Arteta. Well, sorry, the bottom 5 are anyway. And you can see whether or not people thought it was good enough progression. It is clear progression from 8th and 8th, meh, 5th, meh, 2 seconds. Now looks like it's going to be another second. Is the worry, Dan, that from those 2 seconds where you've got 84 to 89, where you currently sit in the table now with 54 points with 11 games to go, you can only end the season on 87 points. So you can't even match last season's total. And with all due respect, I can't see that you're going to win 11 games in a row. Is that the disappointing thing, that you really haven't kicked on and you've kind of stayed, I don't want to say stagnant because you're a good team, but is it that you've kind of allowed yourself to just be comfortable with second?
I think the board and the owners are comfortable with 4th, bruv. I don't think they're comfortable with second. I think they're comfortable with Champions League football, whether that's top 5, top 4. And I've always been one of these people. I would never, ever, if I lose a league title, I grew up absolutely in mourning coming second. But I never, ever went up to anybody when I come second and went, ha, you come 3rd and 4th and I come second. I was like, well, we've all lost, haven't we? We've all got into the Champions League. It doesn't really matter whether you come 2nd, 3rd or 4th, really. You've all got Champions League. You're all the losers, right? So you all go into the Champions League. And I don't care where we finish if we don't come first. And we're not going to come first, right? But don't think that we might not drop out of this top 4, by the way. I know there's 10 points in it right now, but we don't have a striker. We don't score goals. In the last 4 games, we've scored 2 goals, and that was Marino being flung on against Leicester, right? So let's be real. One of the worst sides in the league, we were able to score 2 goals against in the last 20 minutes because we changed it up a little bit and flung on a striker. So, a player that's playing as a striker. So for me right now, I'm seriously worried. And you say, have we stagnated? I think we've regressed, bruv, this season. I think we've regressed in the way that we're playing. I think we've regressed as a squad. Chris Hudson was on, big up to him earlier on my channel, when he said to me this. He said, right, let me ask you this question. If we would have kept Smith Rowe and Vieira and Nelson and the players from last season, Cole Hine in goal, and we would have saved that 75 million and gone and spent it on a striker, do you think we'd be in a better position? I think we would. I actually believe that we would be. I don't know how anyone can't say we wouldn't be, because we'd have Osimhen up front or Gyökeres up front now, right? With Havertz as backup for most of the season. Yes, they've got injured now. The injuries would have stayed the same. But then we would have had Reece Nelson to bring on. We would have had Smith Rowe to bring on. We would have had Fabi Vieira, who I'm not really a fan of, if I'm honest, Fabi Vieira. But he's a player that can come in and make something happen with his weight of pass. And you've got Gyökeres that's starting. That, for me, gives you more of a chance. We might not be in a title race, but we've had more of a chance of winning a trophy. And I think because we haven't done that, we are in an absolute mess right now. And we need to start again.
Can I ask, does it make it worse, Dan, that for the last 2 years you've been chasing what really is a kind of invincible Manchester City team, right? In the last 2 years. This year, does it make it worse for you that they've fallen off a cliff and you guys were there? You were the ones primed, ready to go. You were ready to, and Liverpool, who bought. I mean, we could talk about Chiesa. He's hardly played. Liverpool, who only signed Chiesa with the same squad, have gone, yeah, thank you very much, Arsenal. We're going to be the ones that take control of, take the place of Man City. Is that what's gutting for you, that Liverpool didn't do anything either, and they've gone bang, and you've gone like that?
So there's 2 things that are incredibly frustrating with what you've said there, right? And so I totally agree with everything you've said. Igal disagreed with me on this because he thinks that the Premier League is top quality.
Of course he did.
Yeah.
Embarrassing.
I love you, Gal. Look, he thinks the Premier League is top quality still, right? I disagree. I think the Premier League is horrendously bad. And I think that it's been proven so far with the likes of yourselves and Manchester United that find themselves in bloody 12th, 13th or 14th or whatever it is. You've got Bournemouth and Forest that are looking at Champions League football, as well as Brighton and Fulham. You've got the drop-off of Manchester City this season, as you've mentioned. And Liverpool, who are a side that let me just not be disrespectful here, by the way, when I say this, because they are by far the best team in England this season. Okay. But you know what? Every Liverpool content creator I've spoken to is like, it's going to get tough. This is going to be a really good season. It's going to get tough. It hasn't been tough. It's been absolutely easy for them. There is nobody from Arsenal downwards that has even threatened Liverpool by more than a 4-point margin at one stage. It has been absolutely easy for them. They have walked it. And look, they deserve credit. Slot deserves credit. They've got unbelievable players. Salah's been an absolute menace. But I will never remember Liverpool if they win this league and go, do you remember that brilliant Liverpool side in 25? I would never do that, right? But I would with the Liverpool side in COVID. I would with the Manchester City sides. I would with the Chelsea, Arsenal, Man United side. That is how bad everybody has been. Look at that table, bruv. This is March, by the way. We're not in September here. This is March, and we are looking at. We can't even see Man United or Spurs, right? We got Villa.
I can scroll down if you want to see Spurs. I can scroll down a little bit, mate. It's all right. It's mad.
That genuinely wasn't a dig, but it was just an example to use my point. You've got Spurs and Man United you can't see. Villa are a Champions League side. Look where they are, right? You've got Fulham, Brighton, and Bournemouth cannot believe their luck. And I wouldn't say Fulham, Brighton, and Bournemouth have got better. I just think they've been the same as last year. We've all got worse. Look at us. We've all dropped off completely. Do you know
what's crazy? I was having this conversation with someone the other day, and I said, look, Liverpool are a good team, right? Liverpool are a good team, and I will take this table down. But if you look at that, if someone had said this Liverpool team will lose one game in their first 28, I would have said, no, they're good, but they're not one defeat in 28 good. They're not. But here they are. And again, Liverpool fans watching this are probably going to go, oh, salty Spurs fans, salty Arsenal fan. But they're a good team. But I watched them, and you're right. I don't think, they've really, really impressed me. And I think that's where, if we bring it back to the Arsenal point, that's where you guys should have been there. As a Spurs fan, the worry for me, Dan, was, oh, God, this Arsenal team that finished second, it's not a fluke. They've done it again. They're going to kick on. My worry was, oh, my God, they're going to go and win the title. This is going to be horrible to see. And then just seeing you drop off a cliff, from my point of view, I'm like, it's Arsenal. But for you guys, it must be, we're there. We're the last game of the season away from winning it.
Yeah.
And it's just crazy. But listen, I want to wrap up the video in the last 2 minutes now. So we talk about failing, and I'm going to ask you some really blunt, direct questions. Has Mikel Arteta failed? A kind of like a yes or a no without any caveats. Has he failed as Arsenal manager if you don't win the Champions League?
Unfortunately, the answer is yes. No. Of course, unfortunately, the answer is yes. But there's a difference between has he failed or has he done a horrendously bad job. They're too well. And what will happen is you'll say, has he failed? Yes. Oh, he's done a brilliant job. I didn't say that. That wasn't the question, right? The question was, has he failed? Yes, because he hasn't won anything, right? So, and people will say the FA Cup, but since he's built his squad, since he spent all that money, he hasn't won anything. So he has failed, and it's unfortunate.
So then the last question that I'm going to ask you is, if you get to the end of the season and you don't win the Champions League, I mean, I'll be honest, I don't see you, not because I'm a Spurs fan, I don't see you winning the Champions League. I don't think you've got enough firepower. If you don't, is the decision to be made there? Do you sack a manager that's come second, to get the winner, to get your I'm not saying Ancelotti, just to get your Ancelotti, your Jose, your Pep, your Klopp, those managers that get you over the line? Or does he deserve one final go?
So what would I do? Sack him. What will the board do? Keep him. What do the fan base want? They want to keep him because they're making a lot of excuses, Savva, about why he didn't win it. And he has as well in his press conferences. Red cards, refereeing decisions, injury problems. This is not an excuse, man. Pep Guardiola was the excuse last year. He's now dropped. Brilliant. Where are we? No, you forgot. Slot's inherited a winning team here from Klopp. Right, so has Klopp won the league then? Because the last time I looked, Slot was the manager. So I think that's a massive, massive insult to Arne Slot, by the way. Yeah, when people say that. So, look, I would remove him, but I don't think he will get removed. I think it's justifiable too. What I would say, if you're sacking Mikel Arteta and you're bringing in Cesc Fabregas, just keep Arteta. If you're sacking Mikel Arteta and you're bringing in a Xabi Alonso, you're bringing in a Carlo Ancelotti, you're bringing in Simone Inzaghi, cool. all ears for that. But if you want to bring in Deserving or someone like that, I'm not interested. You might as well keep Mikel Arteta. So that's what I would say, bro. That's how I did it. Because a lot of people think I hate Arteta and I want him gone. I want to hang on a minute. There's more to it than that. I can sack Arteta now. Who are we getting? Oh, this bloke called Per Mertesacker's going to join. Oh, brilliant. No, I don't want that, right? I want
World Cup winner Per Mertesacker.
That's what I mean, right? So there's a lot of people that don't quite understand. My replacement for Arteta has to be a winning CV manager. Yeah, that's current as well. I don't want Conte or Jose because they've got the Spurs lurgy. Big up to you. But I would take the others.
Yeah. No, listen, look, Dan, I really appreciate that. I guess the last thing I can say to you is hopefully Ange Postecoglou will be available in the summer and you guys can take
I don't want him, bro.
He's won titles everywhere he's been. If you look at Japan and Australia and Scotland.
It's not his fault either. I've been told by your fan base it's not his fault this season. So, it's your board and your ownership that the issue that why you're 15th, or whatever it is.
Yeah. I mean, listen, look, Dan, thanks very much. Everybody who's watching this video, please, obviously, Dan Potts from Football's 12th Man podcast. Please get over to his channel, subscribe. Please help me continue to grow FHTV Plus, just to show that Spurs fans and Arsenal fans can have a normal conversation without the bias stuff going on. Dan, best of luck for the rest of the season, I would say, but normally it wouldn't be an Arsenal fan. So I'll quickly retract that and say, hopefully you lose your last 11 games. Take care. As always, everybody. Come on, you Spurs, and please subscribe. See you later.